Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk a little bit about using traditional positive psychology exercises to help assist with brain retraining. So there's a few different exercises that a lot of therapists will use regularly as a part of cognitive behavioral therapy or positive psychology, and there's a lot of ways we can relate those to recovering from chronic illness. One of those exercises we can start off with is the passengers on a train metaphor. So we imagine that we go onto a train, all the different sorts of people that would be on that train, the different ways that they might be responding, the different moods they might be in. And so you can imagine like walking down the aisle, and there are people on the train that might be giving you a dirty look or talking really negatively, and then there's the people that smile or offer you a seat. And we can do that metaphor, we can apply that to the way that our brain works. So throughout the day and throughout our week or the course of our thought process, there are going to be different thoughts in our brain, and we choose the ones that we respond to or that we pay attention to. So just like we talk about in brain retraining, how we are trying to rewire the brain to go down positive pathways, the more often we go down the positive pathways, it's similar in yoga, that idea of samskaras, like the more times you choose a certain road, you etch more into that. So it's the same with this metaphor. If we choose to entertain the positive people on the train or the positive thoughts, we're reinforcing that pattern, and that's what we'll carry with us through our day. But if we choose to engage with the negative thoughts, just like if you engage with a negative passenger on a train, you're going to end up in a bad situation. It's going to reinforce the negativity. It's going to have more of an interplay back and forth. And so, for example, if you're entertaining a thought of, oh, that symptom's coming up, this whole day is going to be ruined, what's going to happen today, then the amygdala is triggered into sympathetic activation. We go into fight or flight mode. The thalamus tells the rest of our limbic system, like, we're in trouble here, release the stress hormones. And then our hippocampus, these negative memories come up, and we keep reinforcing, like, yep, it's just like last time. And that cascade of negative emotions keeps getting stronger. So therefore, our response, whatever it is, a trauma response, a pain response from that adrenaline dump, histamine responses for allergenic conditions or inflammatory conditions, all of those are linked to our brain chemistry and to our stress response in our nervous system. So engaging the positive versus engaging the negative. If we picture those thoughts like passengers on a train, that we can choose to ignore certain ones and engage the positive ones, it will help us to stick with our brain retraining that day. And then to go into that idea, to compare it again with yoga, that concept of samskaras. I don't know if you've ever heard about the story of the monk in the temple. It's a true story. You can see it. I just forget where it was at the moment because of brain fog, but monks in temples that go to the exact same spot every day to pray. And so they sit and they kneel, and their feet wear over time, these divots in the floor of these exact same spaces every day because they're repeating that same pattern every day. Or if you always hike a trail in the woods, you can start off in a big wide open field or the woods and there's no trail. But if you hike the exact same loop every day, you're going to wear away the grass, you're going to wear away that area, and you will see a trail. So for many people with chronic pain and chronic illness, the really well-worn path is the pathway of, fight or flight mode, negative thought processes, being stuck in a trauma loop, only being able to see the negative, never thinking you can heal. So you're wearing down that same path over and over. So when you first start this journey of trying to wear down a positive trail, it's really hard, right? Like you might need to have like a lawnmower in front of you almost to like push your way through, to initially just get through that first part, to go through that trail that's not traveled and really kind of start laying that framework. But we don't have that. We don't have a magical way of making it easier. So the first couple times it feels tough. You're treading through the weeds, you're stomping down the grass. And so it does feel like sometimes you're faking it till you make it. But again, moving into the more traditional brain retraining programs, that's why they say commit an hour a day, whether it's 4 15-minute periods a day or breaking it up into smaller chunks where you're engaging in affirmations, visualizing yourself healing, telling your limbic system to calm down, telling yourself that you're safe, engaging in distractions throughout the day, keeping yourself busy, and thinking in terms of I am healing, not I am sick. So that would be, another great tool is utilizing what we know about psychology to get ourselves into a space where we are focusing on, I'm brain retraining and I'm following this protocol, but I know that there's science behind it as well. I'm not just blindly following positive psychology and feeling like it's rainbows and butterflies, but is this doing something? Because now we know the science of how it impacts our nervous system. Another great thing we can pull out of our toolkit is finding gratitude and finding the positives from our life experience. So if we were to write our life story from a strengths-based approach rather than from a deficit-based approach, what would come up? And a great example here would be, we've all seen the stories of people overcoming obstacles, and they are able to pull from their experience and share how the difficulties have made them stronger and shaped who they are as a person, how they dug deep and found an inner sense of strength and resolve, how they uncovered compassion for others going through similar struggles. So check in with yourself and think, if I wrote my life story today, would it be a strengths-based approach or a deficit-based approach? And then maybe practice with some journaling and think about, if I just wanted to write the outline of my life story today, what would it be called? What would each chapter look like? And then really check in and notice. It's okay if it starts out negative. It's okay if your life story started with trauma and then had some chronic illness in there and now you're still struggling. Maybe we go forward and write the next chapter, and maybe we go back and we edit the titles of the previous chapters to reflect what we gained from our past and what we gained from going through our trauma, and how that's going to shape us and mold us to be able to go on the next journey. And what do we want to name the next 5 chapters? And really coming up with hopeful names and hopeful outlines of what our next journey is going to be. So that's really helpful too for those of us who struggle with the past visualizations as part of brain retraining, where we're supposed to think of a memory from the past, evoke a memory where you were healed or you were feeling good. Some people really struggle with that, and that's where a lot of the brain retraining programs say you can kind of fake that. You can come up with the tiniest memory of a time in your life where you felt healthy or joyful, and then you can edit in, you can add in, even if at the moment it wasn't perfect, you can add in by just focusing on the little pieces of that did feel good, and then you can add your own creativity. Or as a child, maybe your imagination was so strong that some of those positive memories could be times that you will use your imagination to create a happy reality, right? So it's okay if you struggle with that, but switching it to strengths-based language and positive psychology-based language. And then when we move forward, saying, but the rest of my story is not going to look like this. So what would you name the next 5 chapters of your book? How are you working today to gauge that? If you wrote the story of your day today compared to yesterday or last month, are you noticing that the language you would use to describe your day has changed? So sitting down, journaling, and then also that act of gratitude, which we know is so healthy and is used in so many counseling modalities. But if you had to include in your story what you're grateful for today as part of your healing journey, what you're noticing, felt inner senses of where your emotions are lying differently. Even if a physical symptom doesn't feel different today, does an emotional symptom feel different today? Can we find gratitude for the small changes that we're making? So those are a few of our positive psychology tools that we can check in with. And I wanted to share those and just give you some easy ways that you could start that journey today and use some of those metaphors, use some of your tools as part of your healing journey. And I hope that you're healing each and every day. Have a great one.